Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Stefan and I'm a student university advisor for OK Student, and I have a really special guest here today with me. His name is Mirza, so I'll let Mirza introduce himself now.
Hi everyone, my name is Mirza Mujic and I'm the Senior Regional Manager in the International Office at Nottingham Trent University. I deal with students from quite a range of countries across the world together with my team, but I particularly get involved with students from Croatia and the wider Balkan region, mainly due to the fact that I myself am originally from Bosnia.
Yeah, so Mirza and me, we're friends for a long time already, so it's quite hard for us, I believe, to speak in English now because we always speak in our language. Yeah, so definitely I want to explain to the students why are we currently doing this video. So we thought from OK Student that we would be valuable to speak to one of our partners, which is Nottingham Trent University, and then especially speak to Mirza, which is the person in International Development Office who's handling with students, so he can maybe answer some questions of yours or some maybe doubts about that you're currently having because of the situation now in the world. So we're gonna make it this quite casual. So I'm gonna ask some questions to Mirza, and hopefully he will answer them as you asked us, and maybe answer some of your doubts that you're having. So if that's fine with you, Mirza, I can start with the first question.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, so we know that you are handling also India. You already mentioned that you're handling quite a variety of students, especially from Croatia, Balkan region, but you're also one of the main markets is India. So we also know that you manage some in-country staff. So now my question is going to be, how is the relation now happening between you and the staff? How do you communicate? Are they helpful? How is it going on? What is the situation in India, of course, for our Indian students, and how does the situation going to relate to Indian students coming to NTU next year?
Yeah, so obviously this current situation has made things a little bit more difficult for universities across the UK and staff who are dealing with students. Um, um, in terms of my team in India, this situation actually hasn't changed anything for us in terms of how we deal with each other, because we have always had to deal with using different means of communicating, having meetings online, and so on. So we've carried on in terms of what we do as business as usual. What has been a bit more difficult is supporting some of our partners and their students, because obviously we're more restricted in what we can do. However, the team, and we have two staff members in India, one based in Delhi, one based in Mumbai. The team have continued to speak to students, whether that's on the phone or through Skype or other media formats, social media. So we've kept in touch with our students that way. I think it has been a difficult time for students though as well, because obviously India is on a lockdown at the moment as well. I think a lot of students are having to deal with other issues rather than just kind of planning ahead for September and what they might be doing then.
Okay, so that's really, I think, being helpful. But do you also see, would you say, increase in Indian students coming to NTU, increase in the applications? Would you say a decrease, or is it something that you were guys expecting at NTU, that the amount of applications from India?
So this year has seen a huge increase for us from India. So we've seen growing interest, and actually, despite the lockdown coming in the UK in mid-March and India following very shortly afterwards as well, we've not really seen that dropping away. We've continued to receive applications. Students are still interested in coming in September. Some students are contacting us to say, well, if September won't be possible, I'm still interested in January, and so on. So the interest in terms of students eventually coming to the UK when it is safe and possible to do so is still very much there.
Yeah. So now you mentioned something that I wanted to also ask is, would then NTU consider? I mean, I know that currently there's a lot of uncertainty happening, especially with the whole world, of course, and then with the universities and so on. So do you think maybe the January intake is going to be the solution for the situation that is currently happening?
It's really hard to say actually, because obviously we're all hoping that this is going to go away very soon and that life is going to go back to normal, and September, the intake that we have planned for September will happen as expected. But I think the reality is that NTU and a lot of other universities across the sector are very much, making those plans for what to do in case September cannot happen in the way that previously was possible. So yes, January starts are one way of dealing with that, enabling students to begin their courses in January instead.
Yeah, so I can definitely say, even from my experience, a student who's currently studying at King's College London, the university response has been quite good. I think that, even from my opinion, they transferred really easily to online lectures. They really transferred easily to online exams and so on. So I believe that universities all across the UK have responded quite good, which makes me definitely happy to see that they're the ones in the front line showing the other ones how to do it. Not only in the UK, but all over the world. I even noticed that from my original country, so from Croatia, they started following some UK examples and so on. So definitely that reassures me that we're going to get out of this situation as easily as possible.
Absolutely, I hope so. I mean, I would definitely say that this is quite a strange situation for universities as well. But the main thing for universities is looking after the students. So there is a lot of work done behind the scenes continuously to ensure that students are kept safe, but also that their education can continue without hindrances.
Yeah. So also one of my question is for the students overall. How are they current students? How did they treat this virus? Are they mostly went home? Are they still in Nottingham? I mean, do you know what is going on with the students, with the current students?
Yeah, I mean, through anecdotal evidence, through speaking to some of our students, through speaking to my colleagues who also deal with students, I think quite a high number of students did go home. I think students were really worried about being locked down and unable to get back to their own country to see their family, and so many have gone home. But there is quite a large number of students who have stayed here. My team has remained in touch with students to kind of support them where we can, but I know that at NTU, our international student support team and our global team that runs our global lounge on campus have remained very much proactive in making sure that students who have remained in the UK are having access to relevant support, are being able to communicate with other students through kind of virtual global lounge events and things like that. So we've really tried to make sure that those who have stayed are really well looked after, because we appreciate that this can be a very anxious time for all those who might be thousands of miles away from their families.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I thought that NTU would do. So I was at NTU 3 years and doing my bachelor's, and definitely something that I would always point out, that NTU really does care about their students. And it's definitely if someone would ask me, and if I didn't know how NTU would respond, I would say something similar to that. So it really makes me happy that you guys are taking care of your students, and that's always something that definitely students who are making a big change coming to UK, and now especially in this situation, to feel that they're supported, that they can always rely on somebody, talk to somebody, and so on. So well done, NTU.
Thank you.
My second question would be that, and I hope this is going to be the last one about COVID, but I really want to transfer to some other, let's say, more happier topics that I want to ask you about NTU and so on. Is what is going to happen with the English language requirements? We know that currently the IELTS, which is one of maybe the main one to be taken for students to as a condition, as an offer, a requirement, that it's getting postponed all over the world. And for example, I know that some of the tests for business, which are GMAT and so on, they're also getting postponed. So now on universities, it's up to them to find an alternative solution. So what is the solution of NTU? What is currently the situation with English language requirements at NTU?
That's a really good question, and actually it's one that we've seen coming up more and more from students across the world. So it's not an easy question to answer as well. The university has tried to already come up with different solutions, but I think on an almost weekly basis, we're getting more and more other options that are becoming available through various providers across the world. So for example, one of the things that we've now introduced as an acceptable English test is the TOEFL online test. So previously NTU would not have accepted that, but it is a test that we are now confident meets the UKVI requirements, which obviously students that require a visa need to meet, and we're confident that they meet our English language standards. So TOEFL online is an example of a test that we have now introduced as acceptable. One of the things that we've always tried to do, and we're also trying to do even more so now, and you know yourself, is look for qualifications in country that we can accept as proof of English language. So where we feel that the education system, in a particular country would assess English at a certain level that would be kind of equivalent to our IELTS requirements, we would look to accept those. And we are currently discussing all the options of different tests that we can accept this summer, because we appreciate it's a very difficult position for students to find themselves in. What I would say, I've mentioned TOEFL online. That's just one that we've started accepting over the last couple of weeks. But what I would say is that students, with the help of advisors like yourself and the team at OK Student, keeps an eye on the website at the English language equivalency pages, so that they can ensure that any new tests that we start accepting, which will be listed there, that the students are aware of those tests.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. That's quite a good answer. I think that in this time it's really hard to stay patient, and I think that sometimes we also, the students and us as advisors, us as OK Student, we have to be patient for the universities to make the right choice, to still maintain their entry requirements, but we definitely need to give them some time. But I'm happy that I can hear that NTU is adopting again and to this situation, and that you're taking some alternatives. Definitely something that students should be mindful of. Okay, so let's finish with COVID. I hope that they can cut it right here, and let's go on to some brighter topics. Just give me a second. My paper is there with the questions. See.
Okay.
Okay. So what I want to talk about a little here is about growing increase of students coming to UK. We saw in OK Student especially that there's a growing demand not only in Europe but all over the world, that people are starting to come to UK and recognize UK as one of the best educational systems in the world. So my question would now be, we know that you went to Serbia a few months ago. What I believe and what we see also from OK Student, that Serbia is maybe a developing market for universities to try to spread the UK education system in Serbia and try to get the students come to UK and study. So what do you think about Serbia in particular, and what do you think about other world markets that might be growing and that you at NTU see as growing markets?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start with Serbia then, because as you say, I have very recent experience of kind of trying to do some activity in Serbia. So I think Serbia is very much a young market, and particularly a very young market for UK institutions. The event that I was present at in Serbia, there were very few UK institutions that were recruiting there at the time. There were quite a large number of institutions from neighbouring countries of Serbia, but certainly very few from UK. But I do think that there is scope. There was certainly interest for coming to study in the UK, but I think the awareness of the requirements and the costs isn't there yet. So it's something that will take a few years to kind of filter through to the student population in Serbia. And I guess what's oh my God, I guess what's required is more support from people like yourselves on the ground to guide the students and their parents about the possibilities. In terms of wider kind of world outside of Europe as well. So as I mentioned at the beginning, as a senior regional manager, I also manage the team for South Asia and the Middle East and North Africa. So we're seeing growing interest from some of those countries. obviously the big change in the UK that's coming in 2021 is the post-study work visa returning for international students. We used to have this some time ago, and then through visa changes, it was reduced to only 4 months. But from next year, all graduates in the UK would be able to apply for a 2-year extension to their visa, and as long as they graduate in the UK, there should be no issues with getting that extension. So that's obviously a very attractive proposition because it enables students to put the things they've learned in their degree, whether that's at undergraduate or master's level, into practice for a year or two. Gives them a chance to show the level of their work to a UK company, and whether that's with a view to then getting a permanent job with that UK company here or back in their own country with an overseas office. It doesn't matter, but the important thing is that they can show off their ability to a company by doing some work. So that's really raised the profile of the UK as a study destination in throughout South Asia, where my teams deal with. So we're seeing growing numbers from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka. Obviously, India has already seen a huge boom even across the last year or two. We're also seeing kind of increase in interest in countries like Turkey, Egypt, and throughout the Middle East, really. And then, although I don't deal with those markets, my teams, my colleagues in the international office that deal with Southeast Asia, Africa, are also seeing really growing interest.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. Definitely, from my own experience, I can say that coming to UK was just the right thing to do. I'm so happy. I'm currently here, 4th year already, so I'm really happy that I came here. And that's why I'm even being here an advisor, trying to spread what is the best in the UK education, and trying to really tell the students, like, look guys, here's what is good. Like, come here and you will really have a good education, but then again also a good time. Especially I know that NTU also supports like student life, so there are many extracurricular activities. I was even involved in some sporting societies and so on. There's a lot of volunteering and so on. So I believe that UK really is a full package for a university, and really happy to see that. And talking about definitely on my first year, what I saw is a lot of international students, right? But then in second year even more, and third year even more. Now I can see them much more, especially because I'm in London now. So definitely I can see that UK is becoming more and more popular every year. It really makes me happy.
Good.
Okay, let's go on. Now a question about you. You ready for that one?
Okay, well, let's go.
So we know that you've been with International Development Law Office for quite some time now. So we would ask you, what was your most satisfying moment? I know that maybe you cannot name one particular, but do feel free to tell us like a few of them. What has made you the most happy at your time at the International Development Office?
This is difficult to answer without sounding very cheesy, but in truth, one of the things that I love about my job is dealing with people and hopefully making at least a little bit of a difference to people's lives in a positive sense. And so my favorite kind of moments, my happiest moments in the job are seeing successful students that I may have helped somewhere along the way. So seeing people like yourself doing so well, and getting fantastic jobs after they finish studying or going on to masters like you've done. Seeing some of our students getting visas to stay in the UK, getting those jobs that they were really keen on. Those are the things that make me happy. And then actually, if I can say my favorite activity at the university would have to be our scholarship awards evening. Because that's the evening every year where we celebrate the scholarship winners across the university from, I think normally we have something like 100 different nationalities, and it's students that many of us, myself and my colleagues in the international office, would have met in their country before they even applied at times. And so to see them at the university, being celebrated for their achievements really kind of fills me with happiness. It's my favorite evening of the year by far.
Yeah, I think that especially like I do not have the experience as long as you do, definitely, but I'm trying to get into the helping the students, the advisory work and so on. I think that when they say thank you, it's one of the biggest rewards that you can get. Like, because as you mentioned, you did help them try to find a better future. So definitely I can understand you in one way, which is quite good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, one of the things that I really like is that when I was 16, 17, 18, I had no idea about the range of courses that exist in the world. I think I was quite limited in my understanding. Everybody knows engineering, law, medicine, but there is such a huge range of courses. And so part of our job, if we do it well, is to guide students on opportunities they might not have previously thought about, and actually to find a course which may be far more suited to them than the one they originally had in mind, which might be more generic. So, that's always nice to see when a student is told about a course and then reads a little bit more about it and discovers that actually that's the perfect fit for them, and they never would have thought about that if it wasn't for that discussion they might have had with you.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. There is, like, I think that last year I checked about how many courses that NTU have, and it's 567 last year. It was crazy. And one university has that many courses. It's completely something that I believe not only in my country, Croatia, it was very attractive for me to come from Croatia and study here, because I'm studying financial math. So that's something that none of the Croatian universities do offer. But I think that all over Europe, there is not one university that offers that many courses, but which is really, really incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so my also a question, a little bit about your team. I quite miss them sometimes, because this would be the time last year when I would be calling the Croatian students and checking on whether everything is okay, do they need any help with the application and so on. So how is the team going? Are you still talking to each other, communicating? I know, like an example, we had a meeting yesterday and we were saying, like, we should do this more often. Why did we wait for Corona to happen, to something terrible to happen, than to talk much more regular, like on a daily basis? So how do you communicate with your team? How is everybody holding up in the office?
Yeah, well, I think the team is quite positive, mainly because we've continued to work with our customers, our students, to try and support them through a difficult time. So it's given us a something to focus on. Yeah, we've kind of made sure that we're in regular contact with each other. So as well as having our Microsoft Teams chats where we're kind of posting GIFs and pictures for each other to keep morale up. We also make sure we have organized kind of team meetings so that we're actually speaking to each other and seeing each other, and discussing whether it's things about work for kind of this year, or making plans for the future as we normally would at this time of year, and just kind of catching up to keep in contact with each other, because obviously on a normal day you'd spend a lot of time just chatting to your team and discussing things, not all work related always. So it's nice to keep that going. But yeah, the team is doing very well. Everybody's still they're doing the work that they were doing previously, and making sure that we can be as supportive as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that we should definitely look at the positive side of and take it into our advantage, to use the situation being at home and make something different. We definitely need to adjust. But what I don't miss, to be honest, is traveling each day 2.5 hours in a tube. That's something that I definitely do not miss, and I like it to be now a little bit rest from the tube and the London rush hour. But also my next question is, how are you doing? So how is it at home? How is it working from home? How do you see everything? Are you still motivated, or is it just Netflix and chill, or how is it going on with you?
No, it's very much so. Still kind of carrying on with work, and the reason, as I said at the beginning, is because there is for us in our office, we see our students as our customers and people that we really need to look after. So when there is that person on the other side of the email, or whatever it might be, that motivates you to keep going. Yes, it's a stressful time at the moment. It's a bit of an unusual time, but as I said, I think in a way, having the students to support has actually helped me and my team, keep positive through this time, because we've had a reason to keep positive. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying working from home because it means that I can, really focus on work. I don't have any distractions of telephones ringing or, people walking through the office or whatever it might be. And actually, I've been able to do some work outside on my balcony. So I got a little bit of a tan as well, which I'm quite happy about.
Yeah, so that's good. Instead of paying for a vacation on somewhere sunny, I have to say also to my students, it's quite sunny in the UK while we are speaking here. So it's quite hard to be inside. They're still respecting the government and their lockdown. So we're definitely at home. But if you do have a garden or a balcony, I think everybody's putting it to a good use.
I think it's important to mention that, as you can, well, you can notice that I have a bit of a tan now, maybe because you've known me for a long time, but it's important to mention that we do get a lot more sun in the UK than people think. So for all your students watching across the world, I think a big myth about the UK is that it's cold and rainy a lot of the time, when actually we have quite a bit of sun, and it certainly doesn't rain as much as people expect.
Yeah, I think that in my traveling, I've managed to, well, definitely within, especially the university and so on, managed to, with my part-time job, get some money and so on, then to travel. But one of the most beautiful springs that I ever saw was definitely in Nottingham, was last year. It was, the flowers started in the spring and everything was just perfect. So yeah, I do agree that, and rain is a bit different here in the UK than I think in the rest of the world. It's kind of, it doesn't go down fast in you. It's just like slowly, and then for 15 minutes, then normal, and then again, so on, so on. So quite different.
True. Interchangeable weather is the UK weather.
Okay, thank you. And last question before we finish. The best thing about NTU is?
For me, as a former student and graduate of Nottingham Trent University, just as you are, is the way that NTU looks after its students. The reason why I was always quite happy to go back and work at NTU is that as an institution, it puts students first. And for me, that's what it really needs to be about. The students are the most important thing for a university. Without the students, there would be no university. So the best thing is how well NTU looks after its students.
Okay, thank you, Mirza. Thank you very much. With this, I will finish this meeting. Thank you, Mirza, for answering all the questions. And I hope that everything will turn out to be okay, and then that we will drink coffee, that you can manage to drink coffee with your future students one day in sunny Nottingham. I hope it's going to be sunny as here in this situation to resolve really soon. So thank you very much for everything.
Absolutely. No, it's a great pleasure. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And yeah, good luck to all the students who are finalizing their plans for this September, and keep positive. It will be okay.
Thank you.